Hello, hello. It's been a while. We're about a quarter of the way through 2024 already, and my writing setup has changed pretty significantly. So I thought it would be a good chance to take you all through it. Anybody who's been here for a while will recognize this. This is my good friend, the Traveler's Notebook. So what is still in here? What I'm using this for is basically scribble notes. And what I mean by that is when I have a project in progress, this is where the notes for that project go. I just started a new notebook in here, so this is very scratchpad kind of like problem solving checklists, things that I'm working through on whatever my current writing project is. Back here, I have the reference info for the book I just finished drafting. I'm keeping it in here until I'm done with all of the beta reader feedback, but that is all that's in here. So I no longer have a calendar in here. I'm now doing that separately. So where am I doing that? I would like to introduce you to my small family of plotters. Yes, I have three. So this is what started my journey with the plotter system. And what I have in here, I did try keeping a calendar in here for a while, but this is the narrow size. And I found the monthly calendar pages, the weekly calendar pages were too much. Like part of the reason I got out of planning in here was because my planner is a lot more functional and a lot less decorative than it used to be. So when I was doing a lot of decorating, big spreads with a lot of room for stickers and sketches and stuff made sense. But once I started moving away from that, I wanted something that was monthly, basically to just like mark down if I had an appointments with some kind of a separate to-do list. But you can't, that was one thing that really drew me to the rings, is that having a traveling to-do list in a bound notebook like this is challenging, but in a ring system, it's super easy because you can configure pages any way that you want. So I didn't like the smallness of the calendar pages in here. I have some blank to-do lists if I need them. And then this is just story ideas, book ideas. Like the only thing in this notebook is a collection of ideas. And the reason I do them in here is because the pages are easy to pop in, take out. I can archive them in a bigger binder, so I have everything all together. And the really neat thing about doing it this way is that unlike in here, where I would keep the serial notebooks and I would jot down ideas as they came to me, then I would lose them. And then I have to go hunting through almost 10 years worth of archives to figure out which single notebook had that idea that I was interested in exploring. And that just, I really dislike feeling like I lose ideas due to that kind of misorganization. So this is where I keep just the ideas. This is my calendar and planner. This is the Bible size. If you're a Filofaxer or in other systems, it's usually referred to as the personal size. So this one has my publication and promo tracker. So every time I do a new short or a new monthly newsletter, or a blog post or whatever, the date that it's scheduled to post, and then whether I've promoted it on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. The thing I really like about planning in the Bible or personal size is that in addition to the pages being just a little bit wider, I don't have to cut my tack memos anymore because they fit perfectly within these boxes. So that's nice. And when I want to I have a monthly to-do list. That's just a running to-do list, and I do it on the narrow, so the size that is made for this notebook. And then what that gets me is when I put in a narrow to-do page in a Bible or personal size planner, and I'm sorry for the jiggle, there's a little bit of, it's a place that you can grab. Like you can sort of just see the edge of the page underneath, which is really appealing to me. I cannot articulate why, except that I don't like to obscure half of what I'm trying to look at. So even though it's mostly obscured, there's something really appealing to me about having that difference in the width that means that I can just grab this and flip it, and it's in the middle of the month. So that's what I'm doing there. In the very back of this, I do keep a couple of loose sheets, just in case I have an idea out and about, because if I am doing something very quickly on the go, this is likely to be the only notebook that I will grab. And this is my A5 plotter. All of these are in the Pueblo leather. This is the camel, this is the dark brown. So I'm going to move these guys and take you through the A5 plotter. This notebook serves a dual purpose. One of them is my goal planner. And so in here, this is a planner that I designed. It's based on an amalgamation of a couple of different goal planner styles that I liked. I took out all the things that I didn't like and kept the stuff and the concepts that I did. Oops, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here for you. Oh, that's a little too much. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. So choose progress, not perfection, whatever. Then I have goal pages, which I'm not going to show you because they're, deeply personal. And then after the goal pages, I have my this month is, and let me grab a page that's blank to show you. Okay, so this month is April coming up. This here is a quarterly at the end of every quarter. So on Monday or on Sunday, I will do my quarterly review and refresh, do my month in review, do my quarterly review, reestablish what my goals are for the next quarter. Then I'll go through, the highlights and important stuff of the upcoming month to kind of level set myself. Once that's done, I'll break down my monthly action items. These are the top 3 things I'm focused on every week. These are the smaller steps for how I'll get there. Oh, my cat says hello. And then every week is a weekly plan. I pick 3 things to focus on, a maximum of 3 things. It's not always 3 things. An affirmation for the week. This is what I do at the beginning of the week. Just the top half. And then at the end of the week, I do the review. So how did I feel about it? What are my biggest wins, my biggest challenges? This section in particular has gone through several revisions in the past 6 months. So fun fact about my cat, she's about a month away from her 18th birthday, and she's starting to go deaf. So she just meows long and loud because she freaks out if she can't see you, but she won't come looking for you. She'll just meow until you come find her. So, fun fact. Anyway, so that's the goal planner portion of this notebook. But where I am really getting a ton of value right now, I mean, this is super valuable all the time. This is kind of a new thing for me, something that I'm trying out, and I really, really love it. So these are, I forget what they're called. I think they're called project planners, project managers. They're plotter project managers. There's the packaging. I think they come in packs of 6, and each one is a different color, which is neat because then you can quickly know which color goes with which project. So I am, now that I've finished drafting Gatekeeper, I'm working on coming up with an expansion of a short story that I wrote, I don't know, a couple months ago, I think. So let's zoom back out a little bit. Boop-a-da-boo. All right, so inside this project manager, I have a 3-act structure workbook. I can show you what this looks like in blank, just so you don't have to look at my goofy handwriting as we go through. I adapted this from Maggie Stiefvater's writing seminar, Portraits and Dreams, which I took in person, and then I liked it so much I bought the online version as well. I want to say it's like $30 or $40 from her website, and it's 8 hours of content, just going into how she writes. It happens to mirror a lot of the ways that I write, but she has so many great insights on thinking about writing. It really worked for me. She says in the seminar, she can't teach you how to write. She can only teach you how she writes. But a lot of the advice worked for me. So your mileage, as with anything, may vary, but it's something that I highly recommend as having been useful for myself. So this is also, in addition to that, it's heavily reliant on the Ultimate 3-Act worksheet from Dabble, which they called Plot Your Novel But Be Chill About It, which I thought was friggin' terrific. I don't use Dabble because I use Scrivener, but I do really, really like the workbook. So what I've put together is to talk about, establish the mood, the premise, the setting, what promises are you making. Take your idea and make it specific. Who are your characters, your protag, your antag? What's your central conflict, the goals, what's in the way? And then the classic 3-act. So get your characters up a tree, throw rocks at them, and get them down changed. This is kind of terminology that I think Save the Cat does something similar, like it's basic 3-act. But what I like about this workbook, and the reason I really gravitated towards it, is that for each thing, it tells you, you're going to have to establish these things in this place at this point in the story. You're going to have to be thinking about whatever. Now, I will say I am a plotter. The fact that this notebook system is called Plotter sings inside my soul, because I am, in fact, a plotter of stories. I used to be a pantser, and I don't know. I hadn't found myself yet, but plotting is so much easier for me. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I've got all my notes, and I've got a lot of questions, because there were things in the short story that will not fly in a novel-length piece. Motivations were sketched barely, if that. Like in the story, 3 things, and this is available for free on my website. It's about this maidservant, Arlo, who works for a man in and it's sort of like Victorian-ish kind of home. And there's a door in the cellar that whispers to her, and she hears it, and she always wants to go back. And finally, she meets a snake that she thought was part of the door carving, and it says, if you want to get in, you need to bring me 3 things, hence the title. And he says what the 3 things are. The first is silver, the second is gold, the third is something you can sense but never see or hold. So she has to come up with, what are these things that I can present to you, solve the riddle of what would be acceptable under those terms. She gets the things, she gets through, and then on the other side of the door, she finds this sort of dark mirror of her employer and this sort of like dark court, very like snaky kind of whatever. So in the story, and I can tell you this because the story's on my website, it's not like it's a secret, she tricks the Snake King guy wants to kill her, and she tricks him, takes his throne, basically, and then burns the whole place down and burns the door down. And then her employer back in her original world is like, oh my God, I've been trying to get rid of that door forever. How did you do it? It works really well as a short story. But I'm led to ask questions like, why does the house have this dark connection? Who is Arlo? Who is the antagonist? What does he want? Is it like a deal with the devil situation? What does Arlo dream of? Because she can't just want to go through the door. Like, there has to be something bigger in a novel. That works in a short story. There's got to be a bigger want in a novel. So I'm still working through a lot of that stuff. So I'm working through that in here. What I did was to print out the story again, and in tandem with a 3-act map. Any writer who has done any 3-act work will recognize that curve. I plotted out where the current story, the short story, falls here. And then I kind of went through and marked within the actual writing, where do those plot points and beats hit? It's a pretty clean 3-act for a short story, but my job now is to figure out how to expand and translate that, and to get comfortable with the fact that it's probably going to have to change pretty significantly in order to expand. And what does that look like? And who are these characters on a much deeper level than I had to think about for a short? So that is what I'm working on. And that is really, that's really the finished tour. So this is sort of my writing planning notebook, my ideas notebook. So these two are besties. My calendar. And I really, if you can't tell, I really like the gold hardware. I don't like the silver. The black is okay, but the gold is my favorite. And then this is scratchpad. So these plotters, the rings are only 11 millimeters. You can't put that much in here, and that's by design. It's really to help you sort of pare down to your essentials. So this stays in here, but I can't fill it with like 20 pages of these notes. And that's where sort of the scratchpad commonplace thought dump of this notebook comes in really handy. So this is a system that complements, each notebook complements the others. They all work together. They all work for me. As always, you have to find what works for you, but this is where I'm at, and I'm very happy here. And I just thought you might be interested in an updated tour. So I'd love to know in the comments what you're working with, what you're working on, what notebooks are your favorite, or which ones you would like to try. And I'll see you all again later. Bye bye.